In a realm where time isn't just measured, it's guarded, there exists a legend whispered among scholars, dreamers, and those who dare to believe in the impossible. It tells of a timekeeper, a being who can bend the flow of moments, rewrite the past, and glimpse the yet-to-be. But no legend ever survives without a price. And this one, when tangled with the fates of two extraordinary souls, would unravel the very fabric of destiny itself. The night it all began, the sky over Luoyang shimmered like shattered glass. Lightning danced without thunder, streaking across the heavens as though time itself were cracking open. Deep within the ruins of an ancient observatory, a young archaeologist named Li Chen, played by Xiao Zhan, uncovered something that shouldn't have existed, a pocket watch that ticked backward. Every click sent a vibration through his skin, each pulse echoing with whispers of forgotten centuries. As Li Chen brushed the dust away, symbols began to glow on the metal surface, ancient runes that no historian could translate. But he wasn't alone in that echoing ruin. From the shadows emerged Jin Yue, played by Wang Yibo, a mysterious man cloaked in black, eyes glinting with something between warning and sorrow. "Put it down," Jin Yue said, his voice calm, yet sharp as a blade. "You don't understand what you're touching." Li Chen laughed nervously. "It's an artifact. That's what I do, understand things like this." But the world disagreed. The instant Li Chen turned the dial, the ground trembled. Time rippled. The candles in the observatory flickered and froze in midair, suspended like golden fireflies. And for one infinite second, everything stopped. Everything except for Jin Yue, whose expression shifted from irritation to dread. When time resumed, the ancient city around them no longer looked the same. The observatory was whole again, its broken glass restored, its walls alive with glowing constellations that moved like living maps. The two men stood at the center of an era lost thousands of years ago. "Welcome to the past," Jin Yue whispered. Li Chen's breath caught. "This can't be real." "It's real," Jin Yue replied. "And now, you've awakened the Timekeeper's secret." What followed was a journey through eras, each more breathtaking and perilous than the last. In the dynasty of Eternal Flame, they witnessed soldiers made of living bronze marching across deserts of molten sand. In the kingdom of falling stars, they stood beneath skies where constellations rearranged themselves to form prophecies. Through it all, the pocket watch guided them, sometimes forward, sometimes back, its dial spinning whenever danger neared, as if it were alive. But every leap through time left a mark on them. Li Chen began to see flashes of memories that weren't his, faces he had never known, wars he had never fought, love he had never lived. Jin Yue, meanwhile, grew paler with each passing shift, his presence becoming ghostly, as though he didn't fully belong to any era. And one night, beside a lake where the moon floated like liquid silver, Li Chen finally asked the question that had haunted him since the beginning. "Who are you really, Jin Yue?" The other man looked away, his reflection rippling in the water. "I was once the Timekeeper," he confessed softly, "until I broke the law of eternity. I used time not to preserve history, but to change it." Li Chen's heart thudded. "You mean, this watch, it's yours?" "It's more than that," Jin Yue said, eyes glimmering with remorse. "It's my punishment. The watch doesn't just move through time, it devours it. Every turn of its dial consumes another fragment of reality. And now that you've used it, it's bound to you too." The silence that followed was thick with revelation. Li Chen looked down at the watch, horrified. Every tick now felt like a heartbeat stolen from the world. The truth was unbearable. Every step they took forward or backward rewrote something, erased something, someone. But destiny is cruelly circular. The two found themselves drawn toward a final point in history, a temple built in no era, surrounded by frozen waves and unmoving wind. Inside, a colossal clock hovered in the air, its gears turning slower than breath, slower than death itself. "This is the heart of time," Jin Yue said, voice trembling. "If it stops, the world ends. If it runs too fast, reality unravels. And right now, it's dying." As they approached, Echoes of their own lives shimmered in the air, alternate versions of themselves, some broken, some triumphant. Li Chen saw one version of him standing beside a woman with tears in her eyes. Jin Yue saw himself kneeling before a burning city. Every memory was a possibility that had once been real. Then came the shattering truth. The Timekeeper's secret wasn't just about controlling time. It was about sacrifice, to restore balance. One of them had to stay behind in the void between seconds, holding the heart steady while the other returned to the present. One would live. The other would become a ghost in the machinery of time. Jin Yue smiled faintly, as if he had always known. You were never meant to bear this curse. It ends with me. But Li Chen shook his head, tears in his eyes. You think I'd let you erase yourself? You've guided me through every century, every danger. Without you, I'd still be lost. You'll still be lost, Jin Yue whispered, but you'll live. What happened next defied logic. The watch shattered in Li Chen's hand, releasing a storm of glowing sand that rose like fireflies into the void. Time itself fractured, every piece spinning away into infinity. The temple crumbled. Li Chen screamed as Jin Yue reached out, placing a hand over his heart. When you wake, Jin Yue said, his voice fading, you'll remember only what you must. And then, silence. Li Chen awoke in a modern world, the ruins around him cold and still. The pocket watch was gone. Only a faint mark remained on his wrist, a burn shaped like a spiral clock. The newspaper said he had been unconscious for 2 days, but to him, it felt like centuries. He tried to recall the name of the man who saved him, but the memory slipped away like smoke. Yet sometimes, when the night was quiet and the air thick with dreams, Li Chen would hear a faint ticking behind him. And in the mirror's reflection, for the briefest instant, he'd see a familiar figure standing just beyond his shoulder, smiling faintly, watching over him. Jin Yue, the Timekeeper, the secret that never truly dies. Years later, Li Chen became known for his groundbreaking theories on time, destiny, and consciousness. But those closest to him said he was never the same again. He often stared at the stars for hours, whispering words no one could understand, runes that glowed faintly blue in the moonlight. Some say he was still in contact with the Timekeeper. Others claim he was the new Timekeeper, chosen by fate to continue the cycle. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain. Time had not forgotten him. The mark on his wrist still pulsed whenever the world was on the brink of change. And one evening, as he stood beneath a sky that seemed to ripple with silver lightning, the whisper came again. Li Chen, the gears are slowing. It's time to come home. He smiled sadly, closing his eyes. Then, let it be written, he murmured. Let time begin again. The world outside had frozen in a moment that should never have existed. Li Chen's breath fogged the air as he stared at the glowing pocket watch cradled in his trembling hands. The runes on its surface shimmered like liquid fire, each symbol shifting, alive, changing every second he looked at it. Somewhere behind him, the wind howled through the broken observatory dome, scattering papers like fleeing ghosts. And then came that voice again, steady, calm, dangerous. Put it down, Jin Yue warned. His boots echoed against the marble floor, each step slow and deliberate. The faint light from the storm outside caught the edges of his face, casting half of it in shadow. His eyes were sharp, too sharp, like someone who had seen centuries of things that no one was meant to witness. Li Chen frowned, his curiosity overpowering his fear. This artifact, it's not in any record. The metals, it's not from this era. Where did you come from? And why do you know what this is? Jin Yue's lips twitched into a ghost of smile. Because I've held it before. The words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. Before Li Chen could respond, the watch ticked backward once more, click, 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 and suddenly the world bent. The sound was small, but the effect was catastrophic. The floor rippled like water. Dust rose in reverse, rebuilding statues that had been broken for centuries. The very air changed. The electric hum of the modern city outside faded into the distant call of bells, carts, and chanting voices. They weren't in the present anymore. They stood in the middle of the same observatory, but now it was whole. Lanterns hung from polished beams. The ceiling glowed with constellations that pulsed in rhythm with the stars outside. Scholars in silk robes hurried across the floor, oblivious to their presence. Li Chen staggered back. "We've traveled through time." Jin Yue tilted his head, eyes glinting under the soft golden light. "You didn't just open a door, Li Chen. You tore it off its hinges." The pocket watch continued to hum softly, as if alive. Every second it beat, the world around them flickered between ages. One moment ancient, the next futuristic, then back again. Li Chen clutched it tightly, afraid that even breathing wrong might shatter reality. "Why is it doing this?" he gasped. "Because it's searching," Jin Yue murmured, "for its master." Suddenly, a deep bell tolled outside, followed by the sound of hundreds of feet marching in unison. The doors of the observatory burst open, and royal guards stormed in, armor gleaming, swords drawn. Their leader shouted in an ancient tongue, pointing directly at Li Chen. "They think you're a thief," Jin Yue muttered, stepping in front of him. Before Li Chen could explain, time folded again, but differently this time. The guards froze mid-stride. The lantern flames halted in mid-flicker. Even the dust in the air stopped. Jin Yue raised his hand, and the frozen guards blurred into mist. Li Chen stared in awe. "You can control it?" Jin Yue's expression darkened. "Control is an illusion. I can only hold time still for a moment, but it costs me." He winced slightly, a flicker of pain passing through his face. His hand trembled as he lowered it. "The longer I use it, the less of me remains." The realization struck Li Chen hard. This wasn't just power, it was punishment. "Why help me then?" he asked softly. Jin Yue's gaze softened. "Because once someone helped me, and I failed them." The silence between them was heavy, filled with centuries of untold stories. Outside, the frozen guards slowly began to move again as time resumed. Jin Yue grabbed Li Chen's wrist. "We need to leave before this era collapses." They raced through corridors that flickered between time periods. One wall ancient stone, the next sleek metal. The world was unraveling. And through it all, that strange ticking grew louder, faster, deeper, until it wasn't just in their ears, it was in their bones. When they burst through the final doorway, they found themselves standing on a cliffside overlooking a sea of clouds. The horizon glowed gold, like dawn and dusk had collided. Floating above them was something enormous, a clockwork structure, its gears turning in the sky, every rotation shaking the heavens. Li Chen gaped. What is that?" Jin Yue looked up at it with reverence and regret. "The heart of time, where every second is born and every century dies. And now it's breaking." As they stood there, the sky trembled. Pieces of the celestial gears began to fall like shooting stars, crashing into the earth far below. Each impact sent ripples through reality, trees growing and dying in seconds, rivers reversing their flow. The watch in Li Chen's hand pulsed violently, glowing brighter until it seared his skin. "It's reacting to the heart," he shouted. Jin Yue stepped closer, his voice barely a whisper over the chaos. "Because it's part of it. The watch is a shard of the heart that was stolen long ago." Li Chen's eyes widened. "By you?" Jin Yue didn't answer, but the sorrow in his eyes was enough. The wind roared. A bright fissure opened in the air above them, and through it, Li Chen saw flashes of other times. Cities rising, kingdoms burning, faces he didn't know, but somehow remembered. He saw himself in armor, standing beside Jin Yue in a war that hadn't happened yet. He saw Jin Yue fall in battle, his body dissolving into sand. The watch pulsed once more, and a voice whispered, not from around them, but from within. Every timekeeper must choose, preserve the flow, or protect the one they love. Li Chen stumbled back. "What does that mean?" Jin Yue turned to him, his expression unreadable. "It means we've been here before. Over and over. Each time, one of us makes the same choice, and time resets." "You mean this has happened before?" Jin Yue nodded. "Dozens of times. Hundreds, maybe, but you never remember." The world began to splinter around them. The gears above shattered into beams of light that fell like rain. Jin Yue reached out, gripping Li Chen's hand. "You were never supposed to find a watch again," he said, his voice breaking. But fate doesn't forget. It just waits. Li Chen felt the air tear open as they were pulled backward into a vortex of gold and blue. The last thing he saw before everything went dark was Jin Yue's face, calm, resigned, and heartbreakingly gentle. Then silence. When Li Chen woke again, he was back in the modern observatory. Everything was quiet. No storm, no glow, just dust, moonlight, and the shattered remains of a pocket watch beside him. He picked up one half of it. It no longer ticked, yet it still felt warm, as though it remembered every second they had lived and lost. And though the air was still, Li Chen could feel it, the faint pull of time watching him, waiting for him to turn the dial once more. He whispered into the silence, "Jin Yue, if you're still out there, I'll find you. I swear it." Somewhere in the distance, the faintest echo of a ticking clock replied. The Timekeeper's secret was far from over. Sparkles if you enjoyed this breathtaking continuation of Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo's mysterious tale, The Timekeeper's Secret. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more epic stories filled with mystery, emotion, and magic beyond time itself.